Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile. Today I'll be doing a deck profile on the highly anticipated Neo Nectar Ahsha deck. So this is the one that's probably the most hyped in terms of all the different Neo Nectar builds out there. Because it got some pretty decent support in this set. It now has its keyword Bloom. So if you've been keeping up with the anime, you've probably seen a lot of these cards by now. So we'll get right into the deck. Start off for Ranunculus Flower Maiden Ahsha. She's still the main Vanguard of the deck that you want to ride as a main Vanguard. The new backup Vanguard replacing Maiden of Flower Pistol is Flower Maiden Inez. Replaced the other girl, or whatever she is, Bioroid or something, with Inez, because Inez has Bloom for one thing, and also Inez can potentially, as a rear guard, when she blooms, she can allow you at the end of the turn to put her on the bottom of the deck and look at 5 from the top and search for a unit with Bloom and add it to your hand. So she can recruit other Bloom units to help keep the field open and keep cycling through the deck. So it's a really interesting card. Typically, you do end up using her as stride though, as stride fodder, but if you have the stride enabler, or if you have an Ahsha or something, you can drop those and call this. So works pretty well, surprisingly well, and we'll get into an interesting combo with this because of its ability to tutor Bloom cards. For grade 2s, 4 Green Shot Elf. She is one of the best Bloom units that they got, mainly because she is not restricted to Ranunculus or Ahsha. So the problem with this deck is that a lot of the Bloom units, or just a lot of the rear guards in general, require a Ranunculus Vanguard. So, and that's okay, because if you're sitting on Inez, you can just stride into a like a stride unit that has Ahsha in the name, a Dream Spinning, basically, and then you can get all the Ranunculus effects in one turn for cards like this, Ideal Maiden Thuria, which is not a Bloom unit, surprisingly, but I feel like if it was Bloom, it would probably be too good. So it has 2 effects. One is when we place on R, you can choose up to one of your units, you can copy the name. So this can happen during the stride phase because of Ahsha's on-stride skill. If there's one on the field, you can clone the second one. You can clone it, and then the second one will basically be able to get the Ahsha name. So Glorious Bloom can get a critical and stuff like that. So it enables a lot of the extra effects to occur, and basically copy names. So the next grade 2, it's really personal choice. I will mention, originally I was running 3 Maiden of Gladiolus, but I found myself almost never using her effect, because with only 3 copies, you typically, especially if you ride one of them, then you only have 2 left, and if you damage check one, then you can't really do anything with the third one, because if you call it down, you can't clone it. And if it's still in the deck, then you can't really do anything with it either. So, I mean, it's still relatively okay to have because you can clone other things with its effect. But I found myself just never really using the effect. I may put it back. I like that it's not restricted to Ranunculus. That's the reason why I'm not running Saliana. But yeah, the grade 2 that I'm running as the third one is the 3 Maiden of Flower Screen. So 3 is enough because this unit has the ability to copy the name of other units, so you don't need to run 4 of this. I see a lot of builds where people run 4 of this. I would highly recommend running 4 of the other main cards that actually have effects, whereas this only has a clone effect. So I feel like 3 of this is used to basically create another Bloom scenario, or like when you don't have a Thuria, for example, or to clone Ahsha, Glorious Bloom Ahsha, and give Ahsha the critical and stuff like that. So the other nice thing about it is the fact that it returns a normal unit to the deck. The biggest problem with Neo Nectars from playtesting a lot of matches with them actually is that when you damage check one unit, you road another unit as your like grade 2 ride, for instance, and then you have like one of these in hand, and then you stride, and you don't have it on the field. You can put it on the field. In her case, you could put it on the field. No, actually, no, you can't even do that. So, yeah. So I found myself in lots of situations where, like, one's in the damage zone, one is in the soul. I can't get it out because nothing soul blasts except Celiana, which I'm not running. Or unless I wrote Inez or something like that. So oftentimes, the good thing about this is that it recycles stuff from the drop zone so that you can clone them again and keep, like, bloom combos and stuff going. So that's just basically what I wanted to say about that. So next, grade 1's 4, Cherry Blossom, Blizzard Maiden, Lilga. People are probably wondering, like, well, it's not really needed. Well, I would argue that yes, it is, in the sense that especially if you're running this card, if you're running Inez, then definitely run Lilga over Passion Flower or any other Sentinel unit that Neo Nectar has, because she's technically searchable. She's searchable if you're using Inez Bloom skill on that turn. At the end, she goes to the bottom of the deck. You can look at top 5. If this is in the top 5, it has Bloom, so you can add it to the hand. So you just search a Perfect Guard, and then the nice thing is typically like two of them will go off at the end of the turn, so you get a chance to get another one. So it can be pretty ludicrous right there, where you just searched. You basically tutored 2 Perfect Guards to your hand. So that's pretty good. Atmile has the ability to do the same thing with Hope Keeper. So yeah, it's worth mentioning. That's just a pretty good combo that I discovered. I use it quite a lot. And plus she has her other little skill where if you know you have the ability to bloom, cause a bloom to occur, you can call her down and try to push for game, and then later you can bloom and then get it back to the hand, that and the other one. So next, 3 Padmini, just 3 stride enabler. It's just pretty self-explanatory. And then 4 of one of the best cards that they got, Pure Maiden Katrina. The only bad thing about her is that she is Ranunculus restricted, so you cannot use her with Inez on like turns where you can't stride, for instance. If you stride, then you kind of have to go into Dream Spinning Ahsha in order for her effects to work. Assuming you don't have Ahsha as the main Vanguard, but if you have Ahsha as the main Vanguard, then this card's just amazing. It just does everything. If you saw the latest episode of Tokoha's matchup against Misaki, and if you saw toward the end where she uses this card, you see how powerful this card can be for the deck. And then the last grade 1 is 3 Pia. So I'm just keeping Pia in here at 3 copies because it's similar to Flower Screen in that it can recycle stuff from the drop zone so that you can clone those units again, essentially. So that's basically the grade 1 lineup. For the trigger lineup, we're going with 4 Cosmos, Pixie, Elizabeth. This is the new stand trigger with Bloom, and that's the main reason why I'm running it over the previous one, because of the Bloom effect, basically. Trials of combos. In playtesting, though, I honestly found myself not using this effect that much. I feel like this effect would be... I mean, it works as a main phase effect, but it's a little hard to do because you kind of have to like already have it on the field, and then you have to either clone it with Ahsha's on-stride skill, which is not all that great because you are cloning a stand, but then again, you are going to send them back, and then you're going to draw cards. So, I mean, I guess it works, but I just haven't used the effect all that much. Next, 4 Flower Garden Maiden Millis. Just really good critical, and then for Ahsha or Ranunculus. Then 4 of the new Toucan Dawn, just because it's a new critical they got. And then 4 of the Heal Trigger, G-Guardian Trigger, I guess. And then the starter is Peach Orchard Maiden Elmi. So I actually found myself rarely ever using this effect, and it's probably because I only run 1 copy. I've seen quite a few decks out there that are running 2 copies of this, but the problem with those decks, in my opinion, is they're giving up an 8th grade 3, so they're potentially, unless they're running 4 Padmini, they're kind of like hurting their stride potential by doing that. So that's why I don't like to run more than 1 of this. And I don't like that it's, first of all, there's a couple problems with it. 1, it requires a Ranunculus Vanguard, so it cannot work with Inez. 2, it can only clone grade 2 or greater, so you cannot clone Katrina or Pia or even like Lilga or something. So that's what I don't like about it. The pros of it are that it doesn't use Counterblast to do its effect, and it returns that unit that you cloned to the hand at the end of the turn. So really the best target for this card would be Thuria or Greenshot Elf. And those are literally like the only two that you can clone unless you called an Inez down, which you most likely are going to use as a stride fodder instead. So I'm actually considering taking this out and going back to Maiden of Delphinium, because Delphinium is really good at getting having a consistent way to get your Glorious Blooms critical without having to rely on like Thuria or Flower Screen. That can allow these two to be other unit names, and she can just be the Vanguard name. So I feel like Maiden of Delphinium, and plus Maiden of Delphinium doesn't leave the field unless you unless it gets blown up by like Kagura or something. So I feel like this is probably a really good starter. I mean, for most people, they're not. This is like a promo card. I forgot when this card was available. I think it was like a sneak peek card from set 2 or something. I don't remember when it came out, but it's a promo, so it's a little bit hard to get. But I definitely think it's the better, more consistent card over Elmi. Elmi is good, but I feel like if she allowed you to clone grade 1, then she'd be really good. So the fact that she cannot clone a grade 1 or even 0 really hurts her playability, and also that she's restricted to Rhinoculus. So anyway, enough about that. For the Stride deck, I am running the one Glorious Bloom Ahsha. Only one because I only have one. It's kind of hard to get, and it's really pricey, so unless you either have a ton of money and you can just buy one of these online, I guess, or if you have some pretty good trade value, I guess you can get one of these. I don't know. Next, 2 Dream Spinning Rhinoculus Ahsha. So I basically only have, like, this is the only Rhinoculus graded 4s that I have. I'm not going to get through another one of these or 2 more of these. I don't feel like it's necessary, especially because they're going to get a really good stride unit in the Fighters collection that I'll probably be running 3 of. So that 3 of that plus this is already like 6 cards, so that leaves only like 2 open spots. So right now, it's the Dream Spinning and the Glorious Bloom. The one multivitamin, because it's still pretty good first stride. It's actually a pretty decent first stride, regardless of which Vanguard you ride. But if you want to go for Glorious Bloom and you ride Ahsha, you're probably going to go Dream Spinning first and Glorious Bloom at some point in the game. But multivitamin is a pretty good first stride with Inez, if you've got like Greenshot Elf and stuff like that. Then one Primavera, because she's still pretty good at fixing the field and saving you. Still saves me quite a couple of times. One Spring Aurora Borea, even though I almost never use this. This is usually the card that will get flipped up for the Glorious Bloom effect. So Glorious Bloom usually flips up either of these, depending on how the match has been going and how my field is. Like if I know I can clone stuff later, then I'll save him. If I know I have a lousy field and I'm just going to try to pressure with critical and like two units that have the same name, then I'm going to probably go into her later, so I will flip him up. And then, so that's 6. And then the last stride unit is the Jingle Flower Dragon. So I'm still keeping him. Like I said, he's really good if you're on Inez and you cannot rely on Rhinoculus stuff that game. He can pretty much save you the game, and comboing with stand triggers, getting like 4 attacks in that are super big is still a really good thing in this game. So Jingle Flower is good, consistent. I like it, but the Stride deck will definitely undergo quite a couple of changes when Verano comes out. So let me know in the comments what you think of the Stride deck. At least for now, this is probably like a I don't want to say it's a budget Stride deck because it's got Glorious Bloom in it, but it's I don't know. I feel like it's really agile. I guess that's the word. It can adapt to a lot of different situations. So I'm gonna keep it like this for now until Fighters Collection. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think of the deck and what you would change. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.